Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and beloved guests. Pathways, pathways, pathways. Back in 2013, well, let me preface this story with Toastmasters, NPS Toastmasters Club has been known to think of a couple of our graybeards as the 3 or 4 musketeers. Art, Carl, Arnie, and there's a 4th one, Fred. And now we've added some very wonderful new ones. So I don't know, we're just going to have a whole slew of you. But before I ever heard that, there was a month that culminated into one single day where 3 of us began our Toastmasters journey. It was Kyle, it was Jack, and it was Carrie. Yep, Kyle's here. Jack left us and went to Texas. And we all started around the same time, and we all gave our icebreaker speech on the same day in our club. Everyone thought that was just fantastic. I did too. From that day forward, I thought of us as the 3 musketeers. Now, time has gone. As I said, we've lost one along the way, although it is Zoom. He could come, but whatever, Jack. But we still remain, in my heart, the 3 musketeers. We were all of us, 3 musketeers, given a book. This book was our Toastmasters Bible. It was our manual. It was our first 10 speech projects. And every one of the duties inside this manual taught us how to speak well, taught us how to be good Toastmasters, taught us and made us understand how some of our projects that we were completing actually made us better leaders. And in fact, it wasn't even until I think it might have been project 8 or 9 or 10, one of those, maybe 7, but I think it was 8 or 9 or 10. And it was motivation. The whole project was about motivating a team. And it was the first time that I had realized that each project had a purpose to teach us something beyond just speaking or, vocal variety, those sorts of things, which was all of those things were also innate in every project, but each project had that extra little twist. So I loved the manual. We all loved the manual. And then one day, a storm came and it blew away our manuals and it brought in pathways. Now, being an early adapter, I said, okay, let's do this thing. I had no problem with it. Jack Jackson at the time, who was the other 3rd musketeer, he became, I'm not sure what the exact title was, but he joined the upper ranks of Toastmasters as one of the pathways leaders. He started speaking at different clubs, why they should use it and why they should incorporate it into their mainstay, because at that time we were still allowed to use the manual and the advanced manuals that come after the first 10. So there was a high reluctance amongst not only members in general, but members who had been there many years, and even at NPS, our own graybeards. We resisted. But, as I said, I was an early adapter and thought, well, let's do this thing. Why not? So I was one of the first people to sign up for Pathways. Signed up for this one, Visionary Communication. And I was sure I would be one of the first to finish, until I learned that that would not be the case. But slowly but surely, I did have to finish. And I did, finally, until I realized I didn't. So, funny enough, a few weeks ago, I gave my keynote speech in this Pathways. And I thought that it was the last I mean, it looks like it. We go into pathways, and I mean, none of us need to go into how taxing the pathways educational program and look and feel of it within the app is. It's very taxing. I mean, the taxation on my brain as I'm trying to figure out which one to do next. Did I finish this one? And the only way sometimes you can tell if you finished a project is when you go in to do it again because you forgot that you did it. It's asking you for those last 5 things, the last 5, like, what did you learn and how does this apply and blah, blah. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I did do this. And then you go back in to Easy Speak to make sure that it was listed and checked off. So, but we won't go into all that. Instead, we'll just talk about how when it was time for me to give that speech, I thought I was finished. I gave a 19-minute or 20-minute keynote speech thinking I was finished, and I was so excited. And then my lovely, gorgeous, sweet, kind, generous, she's laughing as I speak, but she's all these things, Mariana, calls me up and says, my friend, you got one more. Slowly but surely, you'll get this done. So here I am. And I decided not to make this, although it's about visionary communication, I decided to make this speech very informal. As you can see, I'm sitting down, and any of you who've been watching me knows that I'm usually the one who will back it up, stand up, raise up my desk, and all that fun stuff. But since we're just reminiscing over this pathway, you know, I'll tell you, I think I might have gotten finished a little sooner. No, I can't say that. I was going to say I could have finished sooner had I not been in 3 other clubs, now 4, but at the time, 3 other clubs. And also for each club, I signed up for a pathway. So I'm only doing 1 pathway in each club. To me, that seems fair in my brain. I don't know if it's necessary, but I've literally been working on 3 pathways now for the last few years. So, but you know, to be honest, if I was just in this one club and I was doing this 1 pathway, then it wouldn't make any difference. So I can't really use that as an excuse. And I could say that, you know, life is busy and there's just so many things, but I mean, can't we all say that? So using that as an excuse, no. I think sometimes you just have to let it go, why it takes so long to complete a goal that you had. And I'm okay with that, because remember, slowly but surely. And you might be wondering, well, what does this have to do with the progress I've made and the skills and I've learned and developed and all the things I'm supposed to be including in this? And I would say to those of you who might be thinking that, those are all kind of in this story, if you listen closely, because I've learned that life can be a race, and it can be a shoot to the finish line, and it can be get it done now. And it can also be work at it a chunk at a time. What is the saying? Who knows how to eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Yeah, oh, we had a hand raised. Oh, I could have called on our mate in Australia. So sometimes it just takes time. And I have to tell you, when I signed up for this speech, visionary communication, I've always thought of myself as an okay speaker. I've never been shy to speak. I know we all can polish skills. So it's never been an issue of I need to be a better speaker, although I want to be. So, but it wasn't like I signed up to be. But when I signed up for visionary, I knew in my heart that I might have been a pretty good speaker, but I was certainly no Martin Luther King Jr. I was not someone who could rouse the crowds into something spectacular. I just spoke okay, sure. And I think the greatest gift that this pathway has given me is through each step, in each project, there was a nugget of wisdom that I gleaned. And I didn't even know until I gave that keynote speech how much of it there was. So when you are looking at the progress you've made in your pathway, how many of you have finished a pathway? I know my musketeer has. Okay. So that would be just two of us, you know, just, and there's a lot of things to do. And sometimes, especially for those of us who started off with our manuals and even went into advanced manuals, it seems a bit repetitious. But once you get into those later pathway projects, they're really fantastic. And they give us so much. And they teach us that we're not just good speakers or pretty good speakers or speakers that need to be good. We are all of us communicators, and we are all of us visionary communicators. It's just a matter of opening that up and seeing who it is we want to influence. And especially if it's coming from an open heart and a spirit of service, we can all be visionary communicators to anyone who will listen. And I want to thank all of you, my mentors here in this club. Every single one of you have made a difference in how I speak and how I listen and how I lead. And I just thank you for that. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.